Welcome back to WLOX News This Week. A NOAA study released just this week points to the BP oil spill for the recent rash of serious illnesses and deaths among dolphins. Here with his insight, IMMS Director, Dr. Moby Salangi. Dr. Salangi, always good to see you, and we always value your opinion on this. NOAA sounded pretty sure about this in the report that WLOX News did this week, but I noticed that in that same story, you were less certain about NOAA's conclusion.
I think you're absolutely right. It's a very good first step. I really don't think you can make the broad conclusions, and for a number of reasons. First, there's no comparison. There was no prior data to compare it with. It was in
You mean pre-spill data?
Pre-spill data. And Barataria Bay is already a very polluted body of water. It gets all the influx of fresh water and the insecticides and the pesticides that come through all the different states in the nation. And so, and there are a number of other issues that further studies are needed to give it a proper conclusion.
I want to make sure I've got this right. So we spilled 200 million gallons of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. NOAA, in its very secretive way for 3 years, not telling anybody anything about what they're doing, sends hundreds of scientists down here and spends millions of dollars to come up with this brilliant conclusion that, by gosh, the oil caused some damage to the dolphins. Joe Sixpack could have figured that one out.
I totally agree. I mean, there is certainly a link, but when you compare and try to connect the dots scientifically, that's where the trouble is. There are many other intervening factors. Were these dolphins healthy? This is only one group of animals now. They're not just saying every animal. We believe that there is an effect through the food chain, directly and indirectly. And this study itself, if you read it carefully, it doesn't really give you the exact conclusion.
Why the secrecy, though? And you and I have talked about this in the past.
Because of all of the legal stuff.
I don't care.
Well, they
I don't
have
care.
to worry about it.
The people of the Gulf Coast deserve to know from the get-go what was going on and what their results were. Why so secretive? I don't understand that. Never have.
We have been told that it is because of litigation. We cannot even discuss what we have found in Mississippi Sound. So,
have you signed something, Moby, that says you can, some kind of agreement where you can talk about it?
That's correct. We have
other scientists that you're aware of been forced to sign something with NOAA that they can't talk about it?
All the organizations that participated or individuals that participated have to sign a confidentiality agreement.
And this is why people don't trust the government. This is a perfect example of that, because they're putting the kibosh on you guys from even talking about it, and they're not saying anything. And people are wondering about the dolphins' health. They're wondering about their own health. They're wondering about the health of oysters. They're wondering about the health of shrimp, and we're not getting anything. That's why people don't trust the government, right there.
Well, I mean, it has been very frustrating. I mean, and again, this is a very good first step. There's got to be some connection, but scientifically, you have to connect the dots. You can't, for example, compare a group of animals' health in one area with a group of animals' health in Florida, for example. It's like saying, let's compare people's health in the United States versus those in Africa or South America.
Doug talked about the 200 million gallons of oil spewing into the Gulf of Mexico after the Deepwater Horizon explosion. And sure, people are saying, I bet of course that's going to have an effect. And I don't know how you want to address this, but in my opinion, I have always been fearful of the dispersant Corexit than I have of the actual oil. And I know there are a lot of scientists who have expressed that same concern. This stuff's toxic, and they used so much of it. It's banned in most of the world. Do you know if there might be a relationship there?
Whenever you use a chemical, there's got to be some relationships. All the studies are controlled by NOAA. And many of us, we did not participate in the Barataria Bay. We were not allowed to participate in the Mississippi Sound. This is studies that are done under the auspices of NOAA. So it really, I mean, for us to make any conclusions on these studies without having participated.
But don't
is
you
difficult.
think the introduction of this toxic dispersant could have had an effect on the marine life?
It's very possible. You know, it has, certainly when you spray it, air-breathing animals can be affected directly or through the food chain.
Very quick answer. The blue crab season this year is one of the worst on records. Do you think there's a connection, a long-term connection between the spill, the use of the dispersants, and the lack of the blue crab population here in the Mississippi Sound?
In general, I would say there is certainly a connection. You know, you have to look at all of this as an ecosystem. The oyster reefs, which are the habitat of the blue crab, have been decimated. These blue crabs need a hiding place, so they're gone. The turtles that live on the blue crab and the reefs are now coming to the piers and getting caught on hook and line.
It's all that chain.
It's the chain.
Chain
the
reaction.
chain.
All right, Dr. Moby Salonga, thank you very much for joining us with your insight, and we'll have you back on as this continues to develop.
Thanks, Moby. Good to see you. And thanks for joining us this weekend.
Have a great Christmas, everyone. We'll see you next week.